You're listening to
Sound of
Sidewalk.
Okay, hi, welcome back to the second take of our podcast, because just a little bit ago we had this amazing conversation and we realized that our camera turned off at some point. So
issues.
Welcome to our new studio that Enrique built by hand.
Yeah, he did.
This is pretty killer.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Lots of sweat. A little bit of blood. And a little shout out to Taylor Guitars providing us some beautiful, scenery here in the background, and an awesome coffee mug, which I stole from Steph.
We can't play, but we can display.
I love it. Tagline. Well, welcome. Today we're doing things a little bit differently. If you don't know me already, my name is Shairi, and I typically introduce each episode, but today I wanted to share a little bit more about my two dear friends here, whom I love and respect deeply. The host of our podcast, Mr. Enrique and Naylenie. And the reason why we're doing this a little bit differently today is because before each episode, we sit down, the three of us, and think really deeply about who we're interviewing, what their lives have been like, what we know, and what recurring themes kind of take place. And inevitably, we end up sharing a lot about our personal lives. And more, I started to feel like our audience, you, should really know more about these incredible human beings that are hosting this show. And also, a lot of times a recurring theme comes up, or a lot of times our recurring theme is around what we leave behind spaces, the impact that our histories and our personal experiences, our lived experiences, have on how we show up day to day here. And anyway, so today kind of the theme is around legacy and what we leave behind. And to kick things off, I would love it if my dear friends would introduce themselves as guests, not as hosts.
Okay, Enrique Rivera, Member Services Team. Was born in Tijuana, Mexico, and grew up in South San Diego. And now we're working on a podcast here at Voices.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, my name's Naylenie. I was born and raised a bit in LA, but then I moved to Tijuana, and I've been between Tijuana and San Diego ever since, for a long time now. And now I'm here with you guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, so Member Services Team, which I am not a part of, but I don't know.
You are.
We're like...
Honorary.
So Enrique and Naylenie work with Dennis Crosby and Jillian here at Voices as member service representatives. And what their main gig here is to support individual members. And, you sit down with people and you get to know them and learn about what they hope to achieve, what their goals are, and what they need support with in that moment. And you help them navigate the insane systems that we have for people to kind of access different services and support. And it's a harrowing journey, as you've probably heard if you've listened to this podcast over time. There's a lot of effort that goes in to finding a home when you've been living outside, and it takes a lot of support and patience, and I mean, you can talk about it more, but anyway, I think all of that to say is just that one of the things that inspires me every day is just how deeply each of you connect with people here. The way that you show up isn't something that you just turn off and on. I believe that your approach and how you support people is something that comes from like an earned perspective of life. And I see each of you approach people with no judgment, openness, and support, and you understand what it's like to kind of push through a lot of difficulty. And so, yeah, on that note, maybe we'd like to start off with you just kind of sharing how you found the choir.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was very simple. I found it on Indeed. At the time, I was just looking to move out of the job I was in. I didn't really enjoy it. It was okay. But before I was in that job, I had an experience working, doing homeless and reentry with the reentry system, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, and actually liked meeting people on the street and just talking to them. And didn't think I would miss it as much as I did, and I really missed it, so I started looking for opportunities on Indeed. This one popped up, and I was like, okay. I didn't know much. I didn't know anything actually about voices. I'm not gonna lie. I had no idea about voices until I saw them. And then I looked them up on YouTube. I saw that they sang something I've never seen before. You know, kind of combining my love for music, because I love music too, and then helping people all in one place. Like, it was a perfect place for me.
Yeah.
And that's how I got here.
Yeah. I also happen to know that you actually put your 2 weeks in at your previous job before you officially...
Before I officially joined, yeah. Yeah.
So you just knew in that first interview that you're this is where I'm coming.
Yeah, the first interview I had with Dennis, it just went really well. I really enjoyed it. I was enjoying myself in that interview. And I was like... I remember I got back to that office at the time where I was working at. I was like, well, you better enjoy me because you got 2 weeks. Because I'm going. I'm leaving. And I did, and I left in 2 or 3 weeks, actually.
Yeah. I remember the first day that you showed up, too. It was World Homeless Day. We had a big concert.
World Homeless Day. Green outfit, head to toe. You were going to see me anywhere where I was going because I knew it was an event. It was my first day. And I wanted to make it easy for people to know. Even though if they didn't know me, they were going to know who the girl in green was.
Oh, yeah.
So it worked out.
Yeah, it was this gorgeous, bright green outfit that just commanded attention. And you fit right in because this is like this community, this gang of people, like we are very expressive in so many ways, and you just fit right in. Everybody fell in love with you instantly.
My first interaction was actually with Chris.
Oh.
Chris came up to me. He came running to me. He was like, I don't know you, but I need to know you. He was like, I need to know you, and you and me, sisters, automatically. My favorite color is green, and you're wearing all green, so we're friends.
Oh my gosh.
And, and I was like, of course, we're friends now. And ever since that day, he would always call me his Kardashian sister. He was like, my Kardashian sister. He had this like southern accent. I could not recreate it. I will not try to recreate it, but
I can try. Like, girl, let me tell you about something. So Chris, I have to tell our audience a little bit about Chris. So Chris is a bright, shining light that passed away a little over a year ago now, and was a larger-than-life human being, which so many people are here in this community. And Chris did drag, and everything was sequined, everything. And,
a lot of sequins.
And
a lot of
yes,
sequins.
So showing up in a good outfit and pleasing Chris, that was,
Yeah, I think that was the way to his heart and to a lot of people actually, because I guess it just seemed like I had an understanding of what I was coming into, and I just kind of, like when you fall and you put your hands, I didn't put my hands, I just fell into it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
You did too.
Yeah, I just fell into it, and I loved it as soon as I came in. Yeah. Right away, me and Enrique, we became besties. I remember you were one of the first people I met as well in the cathedral, and yeah, like I just connected with everybody here so well, and I've loved it ever since.
Yes. Yeah, you have a beautiful openness to you. Like it's easy to love you. It really is. And you too, mister. So how did you find the choir? Tell us your story.
So my story goes back to my incarceration. I was serving a 26 to life sentence. Maybe around that time I was like 15, 17 years in. And I was watching PBS, and a documentary came out about Voices of Our City Choir. And at that time, I didn't know that I was going to be working for Voices. I was just like, man, that's a dope organization. They're from San Diego, man, they're doing cool work. And fast forward to 2019, I got found suitable by the board, and I was released after 22 years. They released me into LA, and in LA I went to Homeboy Industries, and then got into a career path for case management. Then I got into housing, and so I was working for First to Serve. And my parole officer called me, and she said, hey, Rivera, I got good news for you. I said, what's up? She said, you're free. And, you're not really free until they say you're free, right? Until you get that paper that says you're no longer on parole, which I got like a little ticket that said I wasn't on parole. And I was like, dang, I can move to San Diego now. So I started looking for jobs, and I went on Indeed, again, to Indeed.
I guess shout out to Indeed.
Shout out to Indeed. So I was looking on there, and I seen Voices of Our City Choir, right? And I was like, oh, I wonder if that's the place I seen the documentary when like a couple years back. And so I did some research, and I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even know about America's Got Talent and none of that. I just knew about the documentary. So they ended up getting me an interview. It was Steph and another worker that used to work here, and they asked me, oh, do you have any lived experience, was one of the questions that they asked me. And I said, yeah. And I told them my story, and they cried.
I know.
And I'm like, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I just presented myself authentically, and I was honest, and I just let them know, like, this is my past, this is the experience that I have. And I think like 2 days later, or the next day, they told me, we want to offer you the job.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm on my way.
And San Diego's never been better. But I think it's so much of what happens here too, is that we all show up with these histories in our lives. And you said something. So we were talking earlier today, me and Enrique down here, and we were kind of talking about our own histories, like really sharing the nitty gritty of where we've been. And Enrique said this thing that was just that we operate at any given time based off of our belief systems, like what's swimming around in our heads. And, we were kind of talking about, what, like the programming that takes place when we grow up in a social system, or, or how we might have these foundations of insecurity that we have to kind of work through. And I think that that's a lot of your day-to-day, like helping people punch through belief systems that do not serve them. And I think that's just really beautiful. But I'm just kind of curious, like, what your thoughts are about that, since you weren't there for the earlier conversation. I want to know.
But no, I agree. I feel like for me personally, I've always been I have a very like strong belief system, and I feel like it's never really changed. It's only transformed, but whatever stage and point in life, like wherever I'm at in life. Mm-hmm. My thing since I was little, I always wanted to help out people. When I first, I don't know, when I was like in middle school, right? I thought that way was going to be law enforcement, and I kept on with that for years until I went up to college and I went for school for criminal justice. I could have sworn by now I was going to be in the police force or going to be like the detective or whatever and whatnot, but as we can see, that was not the case of the route I took. And what's funny is I realized I didn't want to do that through a job and a class that I had. Prior to this, a couple of years back, I worked at a nonprofit where I did outreach, and then I worked with people in the reentry system, and I really got to see like a different side of just life that I had never experienced before. I don't know if that's been like for you guys, and it just really opened my eyes, especially with like the reentry job, because I would go into prisons and I would help out people get their Medi-Cal, get their IDs or stuff like that. I could not get over the fact that if I was going to be a cop, sometimes I would be the one responsible taking people that they were on their third strike for like a petty crime, and now they're going to be locked away for 20 years. I mean, I just couldn't get over that fact. And then on top of that, I had like a women's studies class. It was like a violence in women, and I remember the professor, she was just talking about like the justice system and everything and how women operate in it. I remember just being in there. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be a cop no more. And I was actually in training already for the test for the SD police. I was already going to trainings. I was already signed up. Like I had a test date. I had everything. And I sat in that class. I was like, no, I can't do this. I was like, let's shift. And that's when I decided to shift.
Yeah, that's incredible. I didn't know that you'd already started to take the test yet.
Yeah, I was.
You were on your way.
I was on it, like, and I didn't like it. And I was just doing it because I was like, okay, this is a way I can connect with people directly.
Yeah. And
change their experience with, like, law enforcement and the way that they deal with it. Because for me personally, like, I don't know if I've always had, like, a good idea. Like, I mean, I think it's for a lot of people. Law enforcement is not always seen like they're out to help people, even though they are.
Yeah.
That's their job, right? And I wanted to be like a person that you can look to and have a different experience with.
To know and trust that every interaction is always going to be in support of you and you don't have to question it at all.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's so much into it that I was like, I'm probably going to get fired. I don't know if I'm going to last because I'm very outspoken, and I don't know if that's not a place where you typically are outspoken and question people.
Yeah.
So I decided I think maybe nonprofits are a better fit for me. Social justice, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess that's always been at my core.
Oh man, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, but before we go too far, I do want to like talk about one thing that I know, that we know about your history. And to me, it's just something that I've always kind of wanted to know a little bit more about is, as in your younger years, you were a beauty queen.
I did beauty for a while, for 5-6 years, I believe. And I don't think I actually ever told you. I got into that by accident. I don't think I ever told it either of you. I got into that by accident. I wasn't supposed to do that. I accidentally, for my first pageant, I filled out the application. And I was looking at it, and I remember thinking to myself, nah, I don't want to do this. And instead of deleting the application, I submitted it. And because I submitted it, I actually got a call back. And I got a call back, and because I don't really back down from things, I was like,
You do not.
I was like, now I gotta go through with this. And I thought like each round I would get cut, and I never really got cut. So I made it up to the pageant, the actual pageant. And then after that, I started getting recruited for other pageants. That's why I stayed there.
This totally tracks. Like when you go for something, you get it. That's why you put in your 2 weeks when you first interview here.
Yeah.
You just knew. Like, this is where I want to go. This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
You shared with me one time about this, one of the more impactful moments that you had during that time. Do you care to share?
Yeah, of course. It was with an organization from LA. It's called Fraternidad Sinaloense de California, which is like, it's like a fraternity for people that are from Sinaloa, from the state of Sinaloa in Mexico, that they have in California, where they help out the people that are here. And at that particular time, I participated with them, connecting families that haven't seen each other for over 20 plus years, because the people that were here were undocumented, and then their families, it was mostly like parents, grandparents were stuck back in Mexico without papers, so there was no way for them to ever connect. And it was like working with the government, getting them like a special visa where it was like a special vacation visa that they could come for 2 weeks and reunite with their families. And I was fortunate enough to actually be there for the day of the reunion. I have never experienced anything like that. It was like 25 families that got reunited, and it was just like a lot of happiness, music, dancing, just being able to be part of that knowing that, this is people that haven't seen each other in 20 years. Like, it's raw emotions. It was so beautiful. I was so glad to be part of that.
Oh man. And we've had our own, like, haven't one of you experienced a reunification with choir members and their families? Or was that
Might have been Jillian.
Yeah. I think it was,
Yeah.
Jillian.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jillian did that one.
Yeah.
And she was really excited. I remember her. Yeah, she was like,
Yeah.
she wanted to cry too. I remember I wanted to cry at that mirror, but.
Shout out Jillian.
Oh, Jillian. Yeah. So, like, I can just see how a moment like that is kind of, it plays itself out.
Yeah.
Today.
I think it really solidified the fact that whatever I did in life, it had to do with helping out others. Like, I just don't ever see myself in a position where, I don't know, like in a sales or anything like that. No, because I care about people. I genuinely do care about people.
Yeah. So when you were talking earlier about, just belief systems, and I'm kind of curious, as we're talking about, our past and our histories, if you care to share, like, former belief systems that you had.
So I grew up in South San Diego, close to the border. I actually grew up on both sides of the border. Early when I was a teen, my belief systems were like criminal, gang-related type of thinking, right? And so what I mean by we operate by our belief system is like, there's like codes to the street, like you never tell on somebody, you're always, you do the business deals the right way, and there's just a lot of things in the streets that you learn. And so if you adopt those beliefs, now I'm operating based on what I believe. And so I had to transform the way I thought, right? Because when you're living like a criminal, it's not like my dad that he got up every day and he went to work like I'm doing now, responsibly, right? But when I was in that time in my life, I didn't get up thinking I'm gonna go work a 9 to 5. I was thinking, how am I gonna get away with this crime? How am I gonna move this product from here to there? And all day you're just thinking like that. So that's how you're operating in life. That's how you're living your life. So I had to, rethink my belief system and look at what, because my belief system landed me in the penitentiary, right? I was living based on those beliefs, and I ended up committing a crime that was, it was a bad thing that happened in my life, and it affected so many people. Like, crime has a ripple effect in it, and still to this day, my crime still has an effect on people. So, I had to start thinking of, replacing my thoughts. One of the things that, when I was in there was a quote from Gandhi. If you want to find yourself, lose yourself in the service of others, right? So when I was in prison, I was part of, I was running a lot of groups that were helping people to change or transform the way they thought. Yeah. I was helping people, before I even went to the board, I was helping people get found suitable for the board. So I was doing a lot of work with nonprofits. I was doing a lot of work with individuals, and a lot of the skills that I bring here today, like interviewing and listening. Listening is, you can't get an interview without listening to what the person's saying, right? You have to listen and then ask the questions based on what you're hearing. But if I'm not listening to them and I'm over here, thinking about other things, and it's not going to be a successful interview.
Yeah.
But that's part of connecting, is listening. Most of the work that we do, me and Nice and Jillian, is listening. Like, people, but you also have to create a space where they're willing to open up, and so that means I got to be vulnerable. I got to share my experiences, maybe my story, with somebody and let them know, you know what, I've been down a similar path, or, you know, and then when you open up, they trust enough to say, you know what, well, I'm gonna open up too. But yeah, that's the belief systems. It has to do like changing the way you think. Like in recovery is stinky thinking, or you know, a lot of people use that term, stinky thinking. And I had a lot of stinky thinking, but I had to change, you know, the way I think. And so now I love coming to work because, like Nye said, I want to help people. Yeah. You know, so that's a big part of our job, and I love doing it. Yeah,
I see it all the time. And I have to say, you know, so I've been here a little over 3 years, and as an artist and as a teaching artist, and you know, over time we get to create more and more projects together, which is amazing. But I have to say that in the 3 years that I've been here, this family that we have here, this team, including the choir members, they have really helped me punch through some of my deepest belief systems that hinder me and my forward movement in life. And a lot of it has to do around worthiness and do I deserve goodness in this world? And I know we were kind of talking about that earlier, you, me, and I. And so I'm just kind of curious about the ways that the choir has individually like impacted both of you.
I mean, for me, they Voices of Our City Choir gave me an opportunity, you know, based on my record. Like a lot of people, when they'll just see that and they don't even want to see you or listen to you or anything, right? Yeah. But they gave me an opportunity to do something that I love. Like it's a creative organization. While I've been here, I was able to start studio sessions, art class, the podcast. Right now we're working on a documentary. Like these are all things that I love and enjoy doing, you know, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, both of you are so creative. But I
was going to say a little bit about the choir members, how they've affected my life. Like, I think about it like every single person in this choir that I've worked with impacts my life in one way or another. Either it's the way I think, or sometimes even if I'm having a bad day, I'm like, no, I can't be having a bad day. Because sometimes people depend on me on, you know, having a smile that day, or being able to have a conversation, being able to have these hard conversations, or just, and taking their life experiences too, because these are people that have lived so many lives. And I'm always in awe, like, I'm always surprised. The more you get to know a person, the more you know how much they've lived, the experiences that they have, why they are how they are, or why they react in certain ways. And I try to take their experiences from what they tell me, I try to apply them in my own life. I mean, recently, I was like, maybe, what was it? Like a month ago? Yeah, because like a month ago, I don't know if you guys remember, one of our members, shout out to Earth.
I got to see.
I was helping her out at her apartment and helping her out with some things, and one of those days we went out for a walk. We had the most lovely walk ever, and we had the most lovely conversation, and I asked her, I was like, if you could give me a piece of advice, like for me right now at this stage of life, like what would it be? And she just gave me the most thoughtful, like, to really take care of myself and my health, and to do the things that I want to do, and to appreciate life. And those are the things that sometimes we forget. Just we get caught up in life. But I look back to choir members and I'm like, okay, they can do it, I can do it too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm always inspired by choir members and getting to know their story and how they're overcoming or overcame or are in the process, where we come in and kind of like walk with them. You know, so it's always inspiring, and you know, like recently, a couple of our choir members got housed, and you know, they got their Humble Design did hooked up their pads and refurnished it, and it's a joy to see them in that in that light and in that joy and in that success. So
And I can totally see it in all of your eyes when something like that comes through. Like in the background, there's so much work that goes into it. And it seems like as those emails and those phone calls are kind of happening towards that moment of getting keys for a place, I can see all of you, like there's just like this buzzing energy over the whole team where they're like, it's about to happen and we get to share something really great with somebody, like a huge success. Because you've walked with people for years, and you too, like.
And like Nye said, sometimes you have to come with an attitude of service, of helping. And if I bring my drama and my stuff that's happening in life to work, then I'm not gonna be able to help the person we're trying to help. Yeah. So that has to be like kind of put to the side, and you have to focus on doing your job and helping people out.
Yeah. Especially like, I don't know if you feel this, but usually for me, I always feel when someone gets an apartment, I feel like I'm getting an apartment. Yeah. Every time. And I always tell them, I'm like, you're getting the keys, but I feel like I'm getting them too. And I get so excited for them because it's a genuine, because I've seen all the work that they've put in and the stress and the struggles, and just it literally is like that blood, sweat, and tears that they've put into it. To see that, it's like a sigh of relief, like, oh, yeah, finally, like, you can relax for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
and it's the process is not always easy, right? As a worker, sometimes the potential is there for them to get from point A to point B, to get that success or that joy. And sometimes it's frustrating, but like if they come in with a negative attitude, like I have to like remind them, like, hey, this is a process. We're it's one step at a time. Especially with the way the system is designed, like
absolutely, it's a defeating system, and
yes.
without people having your back, without support to kind of reinvigorate that hope and that determination, I just can't imagine walking this alone.
That's why with some of them it's like victory.
Oh. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, it's there's a lot of the turnover rate for like people that are working in nonprofits. It's tough.
It's high.
Yeah, it's high. Yeah. So you have to do, you have to be, like Earth said, right? You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, like, and health-wise. And funny enough, actually, now that I think about it, after that conversation, I started going to the doctor a lot. I started going a lot. And in a way, I am grateful that I get these reminders of things that I forget sometimes because I get so focused and so caught up and whatever is going on. Because in this field is very true. The burnout. Mm-hmm. The burnout is true. Yeah. You can get burnt out very quickly, and that's why the turnover rates are so high, because it's hard for someone to be always so engaged and so motivating and uplifting. It's difficult because, life ain't, political climate, you just look at it right now.
Yes.
It's hard to be positive and uplifting, but sometimes people, all they need is a little push. It's not even that much that, what I'm doing. Sometimes it's just that push and that extra motivation of, you can do this, like, you got this.
Yeah. And a lot of times it's, in the work that we do, we're just part of the work, right? We're there to guide, we're there to help, but really the person has to want to do the work and do the work. That's where success comes. Yeah. Like when the person is motivated and they're like, I really want to do this, I really want to get off the street, or I really want to, move forward in my life in whatever place they are in that time, then, we can't do everything. We can help you we can guide you and we can be there for you and support you, and we got their back. But it also falls back on the choir member, like what they really want, if they really want to get to that, right? So
yeah, I mean, I feel like the way that we work is very much so like, and I tell people this, I will work at your pace. I will work alongside you. Like I can't want this more than you. Like and it really comes down to that. Like I can't want it more than you, and you gotta be able to put in the effort. Like I will walk as quick or as slow as you need, but the person sets the pace for me to know how we can navigate it. Like it's a team effort, and I always say that it's a team effort. It takes a village to get out of the situation sometimes, and it's working with like multiple organizations. It's not just one.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think we have a unique style and approach because we use creativity to uplift people. Writing a song and then seeing it performed or seeing an arrangement put to it. Like we have songwriting and choir members go in there and they put songs together. And I know for me, I'm an artist. I make music. I got a rap group with my twin brother, the Cuates, and I know when I finish a song and it's dope, like I'm like, cool, we did that, right? And it gives you like a boost of confidence.
Yeah.
Like when you do something creative. When I finish a podcast episode, I'm like,
Yeah.
boom, I think it's done, So, but I see that also, like when somebody's just painting in an art class, listening to music, and they just get inspired and they get uplifted, or when they're doing theater, or when they're doing all the different things that we provide here. I think all that together with us working with them is like the secret ingredients that make success happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for all of us, and pretty much everybody that works here, creativity and our own personal artistry is like a huge part of our lives. So you talked about the music that you've made. You got to tell us more about your that part of your life, and like when that started.
Ooh, so I'm a hip hop junkie. Like I grew up since hip hop started, back when Sugar Hill, when Run DMC, Public Enemy, which Flavor Flav was part of the Public Enemy.
We were just talking about Flavor Flav.
Beastie Boys and Fat Boys and Beat Street and Wild Style. But I grew up in that culture of it was around when I was 12. We had a friend named GXD, rest in peace. He used to be a DJ, and we used to be in his room, and he used to be making beats and cutting on their turntables, and we would go in there and we start freestyling a bunch of dumb stuff. We're kids, we're like 12. But when I got to junior high, we made a group, and it started with 3 and ended up growing into 5, and that group was Without a Warning. I think we started like in 1989. We made our first EP, which is a missing link. Like we have all the music that we've done, but that EP, nobody has it. And it has like, I don't even remember the lyrics to the songs, but it's been so long. I was like, 16 or something? Maybe 15, 16 when we started. But I remember going to our first studio. We went into this place in National City with Carlton Phillips. And he had a back house, a studio, but it had a microphone booth. And it was dope. And we recorded our first couple albums right there. And other people from San Diego, like old groups that are around right now, would go record there. So, but yeah, I love music. I also paint. I'm an artist. So,
Yeah, your work is incredible too. Like,
Didn't you?
yeah, that's
I
it.
did that paint.
Yeah, I was like, didn't you do that?
One of my abstracts.
Yeah. Naylenie is pointing to, if you're watching on YouTube, Naylenie is pointing to a smaller picture right here between these two gorgeous Taylor guitars. And Enrique, on Wednesdays, he facilitates an art workshop, and it is the chillest, most zen space to be in. Just play some lo-fi music, or whatever else is, everybody's vibing on, and you just zen out on.
For me, I know the power that it has, because when I was in prison, I would paint. I would be sometimes I had the bottom bunk and I'd be painting, and next thing you know they're calling chow time. Like I'll paint from like the morning to like 5, because we're like locked down or whatever. When we were locked down, I'll be out doing other things. But when I would paint, I was free. Like time would just like go by, and then next thing you know they're calling me for food, and I'm like, oh my.
You're like, got to go.
But it was, for me, it was healing too. Like in the moments that I was in the darkest place, you know, there was like light for me at that time when I was painting and creating something beautiful.
Yeah, your work is really incredible, especially the ones where you have lyrics and other things kind of intertwined in there as well.
Oh, yeah. His work is great. I remember when back like maybe a year ago, when we were roommates in our office space
in the basement.
in the basement. I remember when I first moved in there was a bunch of paintings everywhere. He was like, yeah, I did this too, and I did this too. So the whole office was decorated with his art. And you know, it was really well made. Like he's an amazing artist. Like nothing but good things to say.
What was that?
Nothing but good things to say about it.
Yeah. I'm totally commissioning a piece one day when I can afford you. Does it feel about time to go into legacy stuff?
Sure.
We can.
Yeah? Okay, so we started this conversation off talking about legacy and what we leave behind. And I would love it if you would share kind of your personal ethos around legacy.
Ethos.
Do you want to start? Because my ethos is very abstract.
Oh, I love it.
And I need to think a little bit about how to explain that.
Understood. I live that way.
Yeah.
So, legacy, right? When I think about that word, it's like, what are you going to leave behind? And I'm not talking about like, you know, money and you know, material things. I'm talking about like, what are you leaving behind as a human being, as a person? And for me, like, you know, I have my music, you know, and that's gonna live on no matter what. Like, it's all over the, you know, and so that's one part of that I'm leaving a legacy. And then, you know, my art is also another way of leaving something. Like I did when I was in prison. A lot of people would ask me, "Hey, can you paint me this? Can you paint me that?" So I have so many paintings out there that I know they're in a home, but you know, some of the paintings I don't have pictures of, or I didn't get to, but I know somebody has them somewhere, you know. I know my mom, when I came home, she had a big old frame of all the roses that I did for her, because her name is Rose, and so she loves roses, so I'd always be painting her different roses. She had a big old frame of all the little cards that I did in painting, and I was like, oh, cool, like, she kept that, you know. And then my uncle had like a big fish. When I came home, I seen it in his living room. It was like a trout, and I was like, oh, that's dope, you know. He had it in his living room. He liked it. He's like, oh, that's one of my favorite paintings. I was like, that's dope, you know. But the most important is like, I want to, you know, I already did a lot of negative things in my life and a lot of crazy stuff. So I don't want that to be my legacy. I don't want my past to define me. I want to do something where it's, you know, where I'm touching people's lives and helping them and helping them come out of a dark place. And that's kind of, you know, where I want my legacy to be.
Yeah.
You know,
it's really beautiful.
Restorative.
Yeah. You know, you just reminded me of, do you remember Stu?
Yeah.
Here? So Stu,
I miss
miss you so much, Stu. Wherever you are. But Stu is
mathematics.
Math genius.
He was a genius. Yes.
He tutored and yes. So his language was around mathematics.
Yeah.
And so when we would have writing workshops, he would write, but there's always some mathematics to it. And I will never forget this discussion we had, and he wrote this beautiful piece around the steps that he'd taken in his life. And he actually calculated the estimated number of steps that he had taken in his entire life. I mean, this is kind of magic that we get to see here every day, right? Like just so much beautiful creativity. But Stu had calculated how many steps he'd taken within his life, and then how many steps it took him to get to the choir that morning, how many steps it took him to get to the breakfast table or to go get coffee. And towards the end of his piece, there was this reflection of like how he did not regret one single step that came before because of the step that he was taking in that moment and the steps that he knew that he was going to take with his family, you know, his choir community going forward. And I don't know, when you just said that you don't want your past to kind of define you, I think the beauty, I mean, the first time we sat down and had a conversation and we just opened up, and I know it's because I felt instantly safe and comfortable with you. And I think that there's something about your frequency that knows that you've seen quite a bit of life and have experienced quite a bit of life. And so it made me feel safe to really be fully authentic with you, because I've, in my own way, like I have my own histories that I have shame around. And so I'm grateful that your steps brought you here so that we could be working with you together in this moment.
And when I say like I don't want it to define me, I know it's part of my history, but some people stay in that, you know, or they don't
evolve or break out of the shell.
And so like I don't want that to be me. Like I want to be remembered for the good that I did, you know. Yeah, that's part of but that's how I became who I am now, you know, learning through that whole process and growing through that whole process. And you know, there was a time in my life too where like I don't even think I'm worthy to be found suitable. Like, why would they give me an opportunity? And you start like, or sometimes like there's these concrete brick walls right here, right? And I used to wake up like and be like, dude, am I ever gonna get out of this place? I could touch the roof with my finger from my bunk, right? But you can't stay in that. Right? And that's what I'm saying, like, at the end, everything defines us, but I want my legacy to be something, you know, that inspires other people. Like, yeah, we go through things and it's hard and, you know, but you can come out of it if you make that choice and you take those steps. Yeah. You know, it's all that doesn't happen all at once. You know, it took me 22 years, like, to come back and be, like, to understand, like, dude, the way you were going wasn't the way. Like, this, where you're at now is, like, you're on the right path. You know, so I want my legacy to be remembered, like, you know, he made an impact on society in a positive way.
Well, I know that you've had an impact on my life. And when you were just pointing at these concrete bricks, I just had, like, this flashback to being in the military.
Yeah.
And, you know, in a cot. And I was thinking, there's this one picture that, you know, I lost everything a long time ago after I separated from the Air Force, you know, when I kind of spiraled into my own bout of homelessness. But there's this one picture that I still have of me laying on a cot, and it's kind of digitally, somebody took this picture and sent it to me. But it's just, you see those walls, and it's just like this dark, dreary space. And I think when I showed up here on this scene, that first conversation that we had, I was still experiencing a lot of shame around my own experiences and how I sank to my bottom. And there was this belief around my own victimhood, you know, and that's like, you've also shaped that too, because there's so much, you give yourself so much respect and you give other people so much respect. And I think slowly over the last 3 years, I've been able to really shed this idea that I don't deserve goodness, like we were talking about earlier. Yeah. And so, yeah,
But we do.
We all do, yeah.
Everybody.
We do, sincerely. And, you know, and that's kind of, you know, right before I joined the choir, like, it was kind of like, that's that's something that I understood that I wanted to express, but I didn't really embody it just yet. And I feel like I'm just now really truly starting to understand that about myself. And so just want to say.
Yeah, and honestly, like, for me, as soon as I got this job and I started working here, I kind of was losing myself a bit because, honestly, being completely honest, I hated that job. I hated the job I had previously to here.
I mean,
like, I did not like it. I did not like the place I was in life. Like, I just felt lost. I don't even think you know. Before coming here, there was a time where I even thought about joining the military too.
Oh,
I don't know if I told you, but yeah, like I was going to see recruiters and everything. I was like, if this doesn't work out here, but after I had my interview, I knew it worked out. I was like, I'm shipping out. I was like, I'm leaving. But then once I was here, I kind of found my purpose again, and I was like, okay, I remember I like to help people.
Yeah.
I like to be able to be a person, like, I guess that goes with my legacy, right? I guess for me, it's always been ingrained that I want to be able to be that person where people can go to and talk, whatever it is, to be like a safe space for people and just be able to support them. Because, I mean, I guess as a kid, I got bullied. I mean, I got bullied as a kid for a bit. I didn't have my dad for a bit because, the justice system, he got incarcerated, which is why I wanted to be a cop, because I was like, I didn't like the situation, how it happened. That I was like, I want to be different. I want to have a different impact on people. And it's always been about that. My thing has always been about just having a positive impact in people, for people to know there's different people out there. It's not all bad. So I guess that's my legacy. Just being that kind of person that you can come up to and just talk and just not feel any judgment and feel supported.
Yeah. Which
is what I've always tried to kind of embody and just be like, yeah, you can come up to me and talk about whatever. I'm not going to judge you because I genuinely won't. You can tell me whatever and I'll take it for what it is, and kind of, if you need assistance with something, I will figure out what the assistance is.
Yeah.
If you just need to listen, I will just listen.
Yeah, it's so important too, because I think so many times we get trapped in this comparison game, and we see, in media and, and how we present ourselves on the street, we all wear these masks at times where we feel like we have to present in a way where I've had a life with no hiccups, and it's just kind of been smooth, and that makes me a respectable, valuable member of society. And that's all a load of crap. we all have our bits and pieces that might feel really ugly in the moment, but really that's what shapes us and makes us these magnificent human beings, and that's what you get to share with people all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I'm very private, I feel, with like a lot of things. So sometimes, even like today in this interview, I feel like I've been dropping a little bit of bombs that I have not told you guys before about. And it's, that's just how I am. Like, I am very private, but at the same time, I'm very open. Yeah. Like, I'm an open book. If you ask me, I will tell you. But if you don't ask me, then it's not going to come up,
We just need to know the right questions.
You just need to know the right questions. Because I've always been an open book. Right? I'm an open book, but it might not come out in conversation. That's why, like, the whole pageant stuff, that never really comes out. Because how are you going to insert in a conversation that, for 6 years I was waiting across the world, like...
That's beautiful, and I just did her beautiful,
Just, hi, everybody, just, how do you insert that into a conversation? But even in that space, like, I had that experience where, for, like, people I was competing with, I would be like a person that they would come and talk to because they knew I wasn't the most competitive. I didn't really care if I won or lost. I usually always placed. I don't know why, just I guess because of my personality.
You're like, I'm here to travel.
Because I was like, I'm here to have a good time. Like, and I would say that. I'm like, I'm here to have a good time and have fun with you guys. I'm not going to be arguing about who gets first place. I do not care. Like, this is not my life, but this is not going to be my whole life,
Yeah.
I didn't know what my life was going to be. And I still don't know because life changes every day.
It does. If anything, working here has taught us, it changes the drop of a hat. So I'm so glad that, however we arrived here, that we're here together. Like I just want to offer you both my deepest gratitude and deepest love and so much respect for both of you as human beings.
Same.
It's just
Love you guys.
It's
It's a team right here.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Okay.
Insert the choir. They start coming behind us and start
Oh my
singing.
gosh, I know. We're singing. I always watch Luis when he's dancing to that song. I'm like, I can't help but dance to that song.
Tocayo.
Shout out to Luis.
Okay, so the last episode, you asked a question to everybody at the table, and I want to ask it to both of you.
Okay.
What advice would you give yourself 5 years ago?
5 years ago, keep doing what you're doing. It works.
Dang, now that I think about it, 5 years ago, sheesh, I was in a whole different place. I had just left my job. I was working at a restaurant. I was still in college. It was a pandemic. I still thought I was going to be a cop. So it all works out, it's all going to work out some way or another. Just keep on believing in yourself. And I guess a piece of advice that just for everybody and anybody, and I live this, I'm like, treat others the way you want to be treated. I live by that because I feel nowadays a lot of people forget about that.
Yeah.
That I'm very like that. I will treat you the way you treat me. If you treat me like butterflies and sunshines, I will treat you the exact same way. Yeah. But if you don't treat me that way, I will be very cold as well. And it's like, I think people need to remind themselves more often that we are all people, we all have feelings, and we are all affected by, might be a little thing, it might be a word that you say, but it can still affect a person's life. And you have no idea.
1,000%. Yes. Yeah.
And never lose hope. That was one of my biggest ones. Never lose hope. Because when you lose hope, you go into a dark place.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing so much hope and light to everything that we do. I'm so glad we get to play together. It's so rad. On that note, I just want to say thank you to everybody for listening, watching. What we get to do here, it is hard work. It's heart work and it's hard work. And
Yes.
we wouldn't choose to be anywhere else. And it is a gift to be able to do this. And so I just want you to know that every time you listen to an episode, you are actually contributing to elevating the voice of someone that has at some point in time been invisible. And just as Naylenie, so beautifully said, like we all deserve so much in life, including yourselves. And so is this where we start plugging like how people are able to support?
Well, if you're interested in supporting Voices of Our City Choir, go to voicesofourcity.org and they have a donation page. All our podcasts are also on there, future events, and if you want to come to
Open
rehearsal.
Mondays, be there or be square before 11 a.m.
Don't be square.
Don't be square. Open rehearsal for everybody on Mondays before 11, except holidays. So no holidays, but we are always there.
Yeah. Come sing with us. Come hang out with us. And thank you for all of your continued support and for listening.